where it all began for me. When I was 18, I began investing in real estate. I became rich. I was a multi-millionaire by the time I was 26. I did it. I was living the American dream. Then I lost it all. I learned my lessons the hard way. This lesson explains the different kinds of mortgages that are out there and all about real estate. Now, I know most of you aren't buying a home anytime soon, but keep these things in mind. This is kind of like education. You can look forward to this kind of stuff in the future. Now, some of you will be getting an apartment, living in a dorm, or moving away from home soon, and this lesson's even going to give you insight into all those areas.
So when are y'all getting married?
2 weeks from Saturday.
Wow, congratulations. And you still don't have a place to live yet?
She can't decide whether to rent or buy.
We can't decide.
Rent, of course, no contest.
Why?
I rent apartments. What do you expect I was going to say? The appliances were new a year ago, and don't worry about the stained carpet. We'll replace it. Do y'all have any pets?
A cat?
A cat? We don't have a cat.
We will by the time we move in.
Well, seems like y'all got several things to work out. That'll be $50 per pet per month.
$50?
So we can replace the carpet when you move. Any questions?
Can we just have a minute to talk this over?
Sure. Here's a copy of the lease. Come by the office when you're ready.
Okay. We have got to decide something. What do you think?
It's an apartment. It looks like every other one we've seen this week. What's there to think? Tell me again why we're doing this.
Rent $600. Okay, with a cat, $650. The utilities, another $200 max. We tough it out for 2 years. We save $800 a month, and there's our down payment.
Which Mom and Dad would gladly lend us right now.
Which means we would owe them, and we'd be paying interest instead of making interest. Is that how you want to start out?
Who said they charge us interest?
You know what would feel really good? Is walking into our new home 2 years from now with only a mortgage payment, owing nobody else nothing.
Yeah, maybe you should remind me of that from time to time.
Gladly. Now, are we done looking, or do you want to check out some more places?
Please welcome nationally syndicated radio host and New York Times best-selling author, Dave Ramsey.
Welcome to our real estate and mortgages lesson, where we want to keep the American dream from becoming a nightmare. Open your workbooks to that lesson, and we're going to talk about one of the great American dreams. When we say the great American dream, sometimes it means to own and operate your own business, but very often we are referring to owning your own home. Real estate. It's kind of a uniquely American thing, because in capitalism we have this neat thing called private property rights. And we get to own things, and as those things go up in value, those things help to cause our family to be able to win. And so real estate is a really, really, really fun thing. Now, I love real estate. I grew up in the real estate business. My parents were in the real estate business when I was a little kid, all the way up to when I turned 18 years old. 3 weeks later, I sat for and passed my real estate exam. When I turned 22 years later, as soon as I could, I sat for and passed my broker's exam. And so I've been a real estate broker for decades, and I love real estate. Now, I've not been active in the real estate business for many years, but many of you know my story, and that I made a lot of money in real estate, and I lost everything in real estate. But that didn't make me mad at real estate. It made me mad at me being stupid, which is different. Real estate's a great thing. And in buying and selling foreclosure properties and bankruptcy properties and rehabs and all these kinds of things, and doing quick flips and all these other stuff, I've owned over 1,000 pieces of real estate. So I know a little something about real estate. Having been a broker all those years, having handled all those pieces of real estate myself, and having watched how the business works. And I can teach you a thing or two about real estate, and that's what we're going to do. Before we do that, let's review our baby steps to this point, because we're getting pretty far along in this baby step process. And you got to really help me here. Baby step 1 is $1,000. And that's usually going to take you about a month, maybe 2 months at the most. And if you make under $20,000 a year, that's $500 that you want to go with. Now, once you got that in place, then what's the next thing you do? Get snowballs where we list our debts smallest to largest, everything but the house, and we attack them in that order. We pay off all of our debt and we become debt-free with gazelle intensity. And that usually takes, on average, 18 to 24 months. Some people do it faster, some it takes longer. Then when we're debt-free, everything but the house, in baby step 2, we move on to baby step 3, which is 3 to 6 months set aside in your emergency fund. You take that $1,000 account, raise it up to a fully funded emergency fund. Now we've got an emergency fund in place of $10 or $15 or $20,000 or whatever that represents, 3 to 6 months in your house. And you have no payments but a house payment. Does that feel good? Say yes. Yes. That really does, doesn't it? Think about it, no payments. That's pretty incredible. And then you're able to start your wealth building, and you go to baby step 4. And now baby step 4 is what? 15% of your income going into retirement. And at the same time you're doing that, every dollar we can find above that, we start working on baby step 5, which is pay on the kids' college at that point. Now, and we're doing baby steps 4, 5, and 6 at the same time, and we're going to add number 6 in this lesson.
The average price of a house would probably be about $170,000.
Let's see, probably about 120 grand.
Is probably $148,000.
I think the average price of a house is about $200,000 to $250,000.
Baby step 6, we're doing 15% in 4 into our retirement account. And baby step 5, we're doing kids' college. And then as we find any extra money in the budget or from anything else, we get raises or whatever else, we start chunking it on the house, and we want to pay off the house early. Now let's look at real estate from several different sides. The first thing is, let's look if you were selling a home. When you're selling a home, you need to think like a retailer. Think if you go into a retail shopping mall, it shouldn't be dirty. It should be clean. It should be sparkling. The windows should be shined at the front door. You don't want to walk up to a picture window that's got a scene in it with mannequins and clothing and handprints be there. This is retail. You want things to shine and look just right. You need to think like a retailer. Think like your house is a model home. Like people don't live there. Yes, well, we live here. No, you don't. It's a model home. We put our home up for sale one time. Our children were kind of mid-sized, and they kept going, well, Dad, we have to live here while we're doing this. I said, well, no, you don't. You can pick that up, or we'll find a place for you to live. So kiddies and kids, they don't show up in model homes. There doesn't need to be any sign of kiddies or kids, or even puppies. A big, beautiful dog greeting you at the front door will cost you $10,000. Because everybody doesn't like a big, beautiful dog. And everybody doesn't like a little kitty either. They don't think they're cute. You know what some people see when they see a kitty? They see a litter box. It's a $10,000 cat. Think like that. Think like a retailer. Walk around, look at the house. Put in 100-watt light bulbs. Don't put the cheap light bulbs in. Put the bright ones in. And make the room look bigger if it's well lit. Put extra lamps and things. Make sure everything's lit. Everything on your kitchen counter comes off but 2 things. I don't care. Put it in the cabinet. And in your closets, you're going to be moving anyway. So clean your closets out and take out about 75% of what's in the closet. And put it in a box, and put it in the garage because you're moving anyway. You know, people go in, you know what a cluttered, crammed up closet is? No closet space in this house. That's what the buyer thinks. When they walk in and see that there's room for things, they go, that house had a lot of closet space. Same stinking closet. It's a visual perception thing. You need to think like a retailer. When I had a home that was empty, a home that's empty that's closed up for a while will kind of get that stagnant smell, won't it? A little stuffy in there. If I was a realtor, what I would do is I would get my wife to bake some bread, and I would take it over and let it finish baking in the home. And if you hadn't got time to do that, or a wife that'll help you with that, we just take a little vanilla extract and sprinkle it on the stove and turn the stove on. And it kind of smells like bread is baking all through the home. You have to think like a retailer. You need to light a candle in this place before they come. And then you need to get out of the house. They're not there to see you. They don't want to see you. They might not like you. And it might affect the negotiation. You need to think like a retailer. This is a model home. You ever go to a builder's place where they have the model home and everything's perfect, the furniture's there, it looks like it's all designed just Ken and Barbie must live here, you know? That's how they need to feel. Some of you got so much furniture crammed into one room and you think that's decorating. Throw a bunch of that stuff in the garage. Take all the stuff off your kitchen counters, one thing, two things back, light bulbs, think like a retailer. Your front door, those cobwebs in the corner, they're not cute. Who you, Uncle Fester? Clean the cobwebs out of the corner. And little handprints where little Junior's been looking out the door, little lip prints on the door. Clean your stinking door. You may think it looks cute, somebody else thinks it looks like a daycare. And they don't want that house. So think like a retailer. That's how you do this. Now, when you get ready to do basic fix-ups, the $1,000 items, $1,000 worth of paint is a lot of paint. $1,000 worth of 409 is a lot of cleaning. So the elbow grease things that you can do, the cheap fix-up things that you do, walk through the house and do a punch list like you were getting ready to close on a brand new house and the builder hadn't finished it out right. And I want you to fix that, I want you to fix that, I want you to fix that. Walk through your own house and do that, and spend the time before you put it on the market taking care of these huge things that are really small. The return on investment on this is enormous. The most important aspect of preparation is attention to curb appeal. Curb appeal is a big deal. Industry studies say in the real estate business that 71% of buyers will make a decision from the curb. They will buy the house from the curb and they'll go in just to make sure there's the right number of bedrooms. How it looks from the street is huge. And if it's ugly from the street, even if it's great on the inside, they're never coming in. You can't get them in. And curb appeal is a big deal. So go stand in the street and ask yourself, what is wrong with this picture? And look at it. What have I got to do? We got to edge the sidewalk. We got to have fresh mulch. So the bushes need to be trimmed. I'm amazed at what you can do to get a house ready to sell. I bought a house back when I was doing rehabs, and it's actually not far from this location right here. And it was an old house built back in the 70s, a big old long ranch house, but it had this 25-year-old bushes that were overgrown and trying to eat the house. It was the bushes that ate the house. Those old bagworm bushes with bagworms on them. Ugh, big old bushes. Ugly. And I thought, I wonder if there's a house behind this foliage. Now this wasn't a fine, nice oak tree. These were trash shrubs that nobody trimmed in 25 years. You understand the difference? So I said, I got the guys with the chainsaw. I said, all of it. Take it all out. Take it all out. We're going back with small, nice stuff. Man, I'll tell you what, we cut that stuff down. There was a pile of brush the size of a house we were done to get rid of. And we hauled it off. Before I got back over there, it was just, it was down to the dirt. And we were getting ready to go back. When I drove up to this house that I had bought, I missed it. I drove past. It looked so different. The thing visually had grown 10 or 15 feet in length because it wasn't overgrown with bushes. The curb appeal completely changed on this house. There was actually a beautiful home back there. And we put a coat of paint on the outside and put some beautiful landscaping around it, small, and this big, beautiful ranch home was there all of a sudden, and it changed the curb appeal. So look at that. Think about it. When you're walking up the sidewalk, go in the client's mind and do the walk. In other words, I'm going to buy this home. I'm going to come look at it with a real estate agent. I'm going to drive up in the driveway. Where am I going to park? When I park there, what am I going to see? Oh, that fence is broken. Oh, look, that gutter's out of line. That's what I'm going to see when I get out, isn't it? When I get out, I'm going to walk down the sidewalk, right? Is it edged? Or is there stuff growing in big cracks in there? And when I walk up on the front porch, while they have to stand there quite a while to get the little key box and all this other stuff, or to get the key out and you get the thing. They're standing there a little while. This is your first impression on a job interview. You're about to miss the job. If you paint anything, paint your front door. Fresh coat of paint on the front door. Little things like that, if you think like a marketer, will cause your home to not only sell faster, but sell for more. When selling your home these days, you have to make sure it's listed on the internet. As a matter of fact, I might tell you to just put a circle around that, stars all around that thing, more than just listed on the internet. The internet is so important in retailing real estate today. Back in 1995, only 2% of Americans used the internet to look at houses. Now 77% say they look at the internet before they go look at the house. 71% said the sign in the yard and the curb appeal got them. 77% are already saying the internet. And you know what the internet is? That's going to be the picture, right? Or pictures, or lots of pictures, or stuff like iPics where you can do a full 360 of the room. And what are they going to see? They see Kitty? I don't want to see Kitty in this picture. I want to see Better Homes and Gardens in this picture, don't I? I want to see a model home in this picture. And if your realtor that you're working with is not internet savvy in how to prepare the listing and show it on the internet, then you're going to miss it. Because I can tell you, I look at properties and an agent sends it to me with a link back to a website. I click the link, things open up, I get a plot plan, I get exterior views, I get interior views, and the people that are crummy with their pictures, you may never even open up the link because you got that first picture on there and it'll blow it. So all of a sudden, photography becomes a lot of the marketing, and how you lay the thing out on the internet, and are they internet savvy, this is going to make a lot of difference. So make sure your pictures are excellent. It is a big deal in marketing a piece of real estate these days. When selling a home, statistical research has found that the best realtors are worth more than they cost unless you're a seasoned pro. If you're a seasoned pro, you might be able to sell your own home. But almost every case, you are much better off to use a high-quality, high-octane, high-protein realtor. As a matter of fact, the studies say you will get 16% more for your house on average. Last year, the statistics say this, that the average home in North America with a realtor sold for $230,000, and the average home without a realtor sold for $198,000. 16% difference. They are worth what they cost if they're good. Now, I got to tell you about realtors. They're like any other business. 80% of them do 20% of the business. 20% of them do 80% of the business. So you want the 20% that are tail kickers that get business done. And you'll see them. They got lots of signs in your neighborhood. They know what they're doing. And when you meet them, they're very professional. They have a clue. They present themselves. They know how to interface with humans. They know how to handle relationships and get things done and move things through a very difficult transaction, which selling a home these days is. And of course, you want them to use the exposure through the multiple listing service. Now, the multiple listing service is simply the computer system that the realtors use, that all of the real estate that is listed with a realtor is put into that system. And these days, it's all web-based, and again, the realtor can go to the web, and in some places, you can go to the web and just look at what's on the market. And you go, oh, I want that one. And then you can open up and look at the pictures and do the whole thing. Or they'll send you a link back into their MLS system and let you see that one site there with that property. So you need the exposure when you're retailing a piece of property to the most people. Listen, if you can expose your house to 10,000 people and I can expose your house to 10 people, who's going to get the most money for the house? You, the guy with 10,000. And who's going to sell the house quicker? The guy with 10,000. And who's most likely to sell the house, period? The guy with 10,000. So the more eyeballs that know your house is available, the better your deal is going to go down as a seller. And that's why using a realtor and using the MLS is worth the trouble if you get a good one. When selecting a realtor, do not rely on friendships or relatives. Well, my Aunt Sally just got in the business and she just passed her test after the 14th try. And I just would feel guilty if I let someone handle my largest asset if it wasn't Aunt Sally. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are placed in a friend who just got in the business hand. Not a chance. The way you look at a realtor is they are a marketing consultant that is paid on commission. If it doesn't sell, they don't get paid. It's that simple. And so you need to interview them. You need to interview them for the job. If I'm doing something in my business and I want to hire a marketing consultant to come in and help us sell something, and I'm going to pay them $12,000 or $20,000, I'm going to interview them. I want to know they've actually done some marketing before in the area that I'm thinking of, that they have some experience, that they have some references, that they have what's known as a clue, and they should be able to come in and do a presentation that shows that they know what they're doing. If I'm going to hire a marketing consultant to sell books for Dave Ramsey, then they ought to be somebody who's sold a book before. A lot. especially if I'm going to pay them 20 grand to do it. And so, well, I just thought I was a marketing consultant, so I printed up some business cards, and here I am. I'm not giving this guy 20,000 bucks. Not a chance. And you don't need to either on your largest asset. It's way, way too important. So make sure you get someone. Ask them how many homes they've sold last year. Sold 12 houses. 12 houses, that's one a month. Well, you're eating a lot of donuts, aren't you? One house a month? You're not even eating good in the real estate business. I mean, you used to in the old days, back when I got into business, if you sold $1 million worth of real estate, you sold a lot of real estate. You got to sell $1 million worth to just stay in the business now. And just with the costs and all the expenses that are associated with the business. You know, and really $1 million these days is 5, 6, 7 houses a year. In some areas it's one. You know, it's nothing. I'm in the $1 million club, so that means you're breathing air and got a license. I'm not impressed. I want somebody sold 50, 60, 80 houses, 100 houses, 200 houses in a year. Somebody's cranking it out. Well, they can't give you good attention. Yeah, they can. They're giving a lot of people good attention. Their houses are getting sold. That's what happens. So you want somebody who knows how to kick tail and take names. That's what you're after. Offering a home warranty typically will not make a sale. We used to sell them when I was in the business. But they're really kind of like the extended warranty thing, you know, on appliances. It's this kind of thing where we made all the commission and you got your heating and air system covered. Listen, if you walk around back and the heating and air system looks like an antique, it's because it's an antique. You need to take that into consideration when you're buying the house. Now, if they want to come up and ask you to buy a home warranty and you think that's going to cause you to lose the deal, well, buy the stupid home warranty. It's not worth fighting over. But buying one up front and offering it as a marketing technique, it's bogus. Won't work. When it comes to buying a home, let's look at this different. Buying a home is a great idea because it's a forced savings plan. As you pay that mortgage off, you have saved money. I mean, if you buy a home for $100,000 and over the years you pay, or $200,000, over the year you pay it down to nothing, you forced yourself to save, even if the house didn't go up in value. You forced yourself to save that $200,000. It's an inflation hedge. Now, a lot of you in this room are young enough and watching this are young enough that you haven't really faced real inflation. Inflation for the last couple of decades has been 4 or 5% a year, 3% a year. It's not been a big deal. When I got in the real estate business in 1978, inflation was raging and the real estate in our area was going up 12% a year. And so if we were doing comps on a house that sold 3 months ago, we had to add 1% a month to the price of it to have an accurate price of what it was selling for now. That's how fast it was moving. So if inflation is up there in double digits, any of you remember back in the 70s when inflation was shooting, skyrocketing? You know, if inflation is double digits, the good news is if you own a house, you're part of the ride. If you don't own a home, you're not part of the ride. You're being locked out by inflation. That's a big deal. And of course, it grows virtually tax-free for most people. Current tax law says if you own your personal residence 2 years, you can make a profit on it, a gain on it, of up to $500,000, $500,000 if you're married filing jointly, tax-free. Up to $250,000 if you're filing as a single person. So it's a great idea. Now, when you're buying a home, always buy title insurance. Title insurance insures you against an unclean title. Now, some people think because they haven't done a lot of real estate deals, they say, well, that's just one of those closing costs, that's just one of those rip-offs, I'm not buying title insurance. Title's not bad. Listen, titles are bad all the time. Title insurance insures you that if something's messed up in a former transfer of ownership, that title company has checked that and they have insured against that, and then if somebody comes back and has a claim, they have to pay them. An example is I owned a piece of property one time that I bought from a guy who had bought from 2 sisters. And those 2 sisters owned the house from an estate. Their mom had died. Turns out the 2 sisters had a brother. He didn't sign off on the house when it was sold, and it wasn't approved by the court through the probate system. And so they didn't have full title transferred to the guy who then sold it to me. Brother's standing around going, I want some money. And I called the title company and I said, brother wants some money. And they paid brother some money. And he signed off on the documents, and then we had clean title again. Had he not done that, he really had an honest, he had a place here. In this, he's one of those heirs that appears back out of the night. And these things happen. Well, it doesn't happen. It happens all the time. I had a friend of mine bought a house, and the title company had done such a bad job. They had allowed an FHA loan, which is always a first mortgage, to be put on this house, and there was already a mortgage on it. So that means that FHA loan was now a second mortgage. Very unusual. So guess what the first mortgage guy got? Paid off by the title company. He got his money in full from the title company because they had to do that so that FHA loan was a first mortgage, like they had guaranteed the title to be clean to be. And so always buy title insurance. These things really do happen out there in the real world. If the lot is not a standard subdivision lot, if you're buying land in any way, get a survey. Get a survey. Now, I'm from Tennessee, and in Tennessee, we don't have, when you fly over Tennessee, it doesn't look like little checkerboards. When you fly over some parts of the country, it looks beautiful, and there's these little perfect squares, and everybody knows where their line is, because it's all laid out in townships and squares and those kinds of things. In Tennessee, the survey was done from a pile of rocks to an oak tree that died 50 years ago. And the pile of rocks is gone too. And 3 or 4 generations have been stretching the truth about how many acres are in the back field, until by the time you get back there, you realize that you really have 20 acres, and everybody's been telling everybody it was 30 for years. And you got ripped because you didn't get a survey. You always get a certified survey unless you're buying a standard subdivision type lot. In that situation, you're pretty protected.